So there are some updates here on the United States Postal Service. We have some big, huge breaking news in the world of the United States Postal Service. The first one is in regards to where the money is being distributed, like how money is coming into the company. And the Amazon is one of the world's largest company that ships packages through post office, UPS, and FedEx. They have their own Amazon fulfilled by Amazon, in which you can have your packages, you can have your items that you sell on Amazon as like a third party seller. As like if I sold on Amazon, I could send items into Amazon. I'd rent part of Amazon space, like for every they charge you per square foot. Say it's a penny, like a penny per square foot. So if it took 100 square feet, that'd say be $1 of space. So I'd charge $1 for the item, and I'd also be charged they charge you like a fee on Amazon. They might charge you like 15% fee on selling if you ship it yourself, and then maybe through Amazon, you have shipping discounts that provided to you through Amazon and like eBay and all these sites, because you're selling so much in bulk that eBay, sellers sell so much in bulk that everyone gets it no matter their size, on eBay and like Pirate Ship and all these other third-party sites, that they sell so much anyways that's worth, that they'll just give a bulk discount to them. But a lot of people don't know about them. Like Pirate Ship, you can get bulk discount postage for free. You can send it anywhere. You can use UPS or USPS, and you can send packages to your family and friends, like birthday gifts, Christmas gifts, to family and friends far out of the country, far away, that live out of state or live out, and they can't make it to you for Christmas time or birthday time, stuff like that, and and can't come visit you, and you can't visit them, and actually get discount on that postage. Nobody knows that, like, or if companies say, hey, send this item in, and you send this item in for return, or seller, doesn't give you a return shipment label, for a discount, or make sure you can't pay for it for a discount, It's like, But yes, so Amazon and USPS have been negotiating packages for over a year. I know they have been, because Amazon had the final delivery service had USPS ground advantage and ground advantage shipping service. They used their own version, shipped it, and then they had to deal with USPS. They shipped it most of the way, but then they had to deal with UPS Ground Saver or FedEx Ground Economy, where they ship the PO boxes and stuff like that. But basically it uses UPS or FedEx for a majority of the time. But then the last mile or two, in the local town that serves that local post office, those towns and places in the country, townships in the country, the country, places that live less rural areas, the country, on 5 acres of land. Your house is 5 acres of land. That's the country. Or you have places that or you have in town people that have post PO boxes and need to be cheaper shipping it through FedEx or UPS, and it might be $20 if you ship to your house, but since you use a PO address, it might be say $25 or $30. It might be say $30, but then just directly through the post office, the whole entire leg through the post office might be $40. So, because the post office gets some of the money for it might be $25 even. Say it's $25. It might be $25 for shipping it last through the post office using their Amazon using their PO box network. It might be $5 for last leg delivery, service in town. It might be $5, for a big box, but it's a lot cheaper than going in through like what I mean, if it's then going through the post office all the time. It says Amazon plans to sharply cut the number of packages it sends to the United States Postal United States Postal Service after failing to agree business terms, or failing to agree to business terms. A person briefed on the matter told Reuters, e-commerce major, why do you consider the Postal Service biggest customer, has been reducing postage shipments, aims to cut them by at least 2/3 by September when its contract ends, the person said. So the contract does not end yet. The contract just ends in September of 2026. So they still have time to negotiate a deal with Amazon, the United States, like a big, huge postal service rep. And like they're going to negotiate like shipping prices for Amazon based on like weight, and see what the deal, see if what the post office can give as a deal. Amazon wants the cheapest price it can, and the post office wants Amazon to pay the most that it's willing to pay. So they're going to meet in the middle somewhere, but where is that going to be? We'll see. Or if Amazon quit, and just says, we should do most of the shipping ourselves, and then like last mile delivery, we'll go to like FedEx, or UPS, because I know Amazon may already uses UPS, so I may use UPS a lot. Hey UPS, you're gonna ship it like last mile, like we're gonna drop it off at your delivery hub, and then we'll pay you some, like say so much, either so much per the size of the box, or so much per package, or whatever, no matter the size, to deliver our packages, to deliver Amazon packages to the door, and then they'll still use probably USPS, United States Postal Service, for packages, but it's only going to be for stuff that is either it's either cheaper to ship it USPS, like it's like less than a pound, or it's through PO boxes. And even like stuff that's less than a pound, sometimes they ship at UPS. I've seen, so really small stuff, so they could, And then the Wall Street Journal reported the plan earlier on Tuesday. It says U.S. Postmaster General David Steiner told Reuters on the sidelines of congressional hearing on Tuesday that USPS is still negotiating with him. I couldn't tell you where that's going to end, Steiner said. He had to comment on the size of any reduction, citing a confidentiality agreement. Steiner said at a U.S. House hearing on Tuesday that USPS could be off cash in 2 months, or as early as October if it makes required return payments. Because Congress and that back in like I can't remember when back, I think it was like I want to say like 20 years ago, somewhere around there. I don't remember when, but I know they before they weren't required to fund like retirement early for all the workers of the postal service. They got like pensions through the postal service and that, and they're required to fund them early. Now they're required to fund them. Now they're required to fund them early, but before they weren't required to fund them early, like the pensions and that. They were required to like fund them like later, when they actually retired. Now I think they have to fund them earlier. Now so that there's money left there's money in there for the people that have retired from the post office and want to collect off the post office pension, and then people in the future that retire from the postal service and collect off the post office pension, later, in the future. But slowly these pensions are dying out, and they might don't, but it says it could be out of cash within 12 months. payments. The Congress and that Congress funds the Postal Service. And the Postal Service was actually not designed to turn profit. It was actually designed for average everyday consumers and business and small businesses and that to be able to send letters, send bills in the mail, send letters to family and friends, send like birthday gifts, Christmas gifts, like maybe like stuff like that, like birthday gifts, Christmas gifts to family, and before like the internet became a thing with e-commerce, online shopping, and the USPS system just exploded like crazy, with like the advent of like eBay, the eBay auction system. But and then all these online eBay knockoffs like Whatnot and Poshmark, Mercari, Depop, Vinted, Facebook Marketplace shipping. All these different websites, for buying stuff. That's what really like expand the business like 10 times, like tenfold. And it really like and it really kind of forced them to like speed up, their shipping. But that's what they did. It's kind of meant for that, like shipping like birthday gifts, Christmas gifts to family and friends that you can't see. You can't conveniently visit them. So it'd be more convenient for you to go to your local postal service location and drop a package off there, pay for the postage label there, and ship it off, or send bills to companies, or to pay your bills, or to send letters to family and friends. For like an affordable price. It's actually not meant to be a money leader. But now they've had to but now they're trying to turn it into like an independent organization. They're trying to make it independent from like any federal government like assistance, and now they're requiring them to like turn a profit, kind of force them to increase their prices and turn a profit, I think, by funding retirement health workers. And I think they're doing that also because retirement, because the post office workers that retired from when the pension started, that they want them to fund it early so they have money in their system. And then when the new people start to retire, they'll have money in the old, fund money for the old people. And this way, in turn, the old people, the new people paying theirs early will fund the old people. It'll fund everyone's in time. You have a continuous stream of money there. But if they make required retirement payments for the people that have, if they make required retirement payments for retirees, pensions that they're claiming, how much a month they get from the retirement pensions that USPS provides as a government job, they're going to be out of money by October if they make the required payments. If they can opt out of those payments, if they can opt out of those payments 100%, they'll be out by March of March of 2027 at the latest. Or if they reduce them in half, even if they reduce them in half, they might be out in like December or no January, So it's like, wow. And it says, and then Amazon USPS have been talks for 1 year about this relationship. However, Amazon packaging has begun to come down to full reduction likely by fall. The person said, declining to be identified as the information is private. And USPS in January began taking proposals for access to its last mile delivery network, opening up more 18,000 destination delivery units and local processors through an auctioning process aimed at raising funds. So basically, Amazon wanted to increase their volumes with the post office, negotiating a good faith deal. And they thought they were Amazon and USPS was going to go into agreement basically, USPS walked away at near the end of the agreement, basically, without shaking hands and having a formal deal like typed up on paper, printed, like a formal deal that was typed up, signed, like electronically signed and probably signed in like a real in like a pen and paper copy too. Basically, they like declined it. They basically trying to auction off their last mile delivery service, like either to UPS kind of has their own, because sometimes like UPS is in the area early, it says, and they'll deliver their package. Deliver the package instead of dropping it off at the post office. And if it's a UPS Ground Saver package, Ground Savers actually I've seen cheaper than Ground on packages. Which is on packages that are like 5 pounds. It might be $10 to the post office. It might be $9. It might be say $9 UPS Ground, and it's $8.50 Ground Saver. I've noticed that. Or even the same price, maybe $10 USPS Ground Advantage and UPS Ground, it'd be $9.50 Ground Saver. I've noticed that a bunch. So, or like or Macari, like they have the deals with all these companies, and it's a flat fee no matter where in the country. So yeah, UPS Ground Saver affects Ground Economy. Sometimes they might deliver in the area early, and they even deliver them. I know UPS does that. So like a company like DHL could come in, and buy out and auction off the services. They'll take proposals at the open market, and they'll be like on like there might be like a government website that they open up to like big huge like shipping companies, and they send it out to like all the shipping companies like in the United States, like DHL. They have UPS, FedEx, they have like speedy delivery, like I've seen like regionalized delivery service companies. They're like small volume. They might deliver in like the Midwest only or Northeast only. Or DHL is kind of smaller company, but they're trying to be bigger. But I've seen commercials for DHL now. I was watching the Olympics and Paralympics, especially I was watching the Paralympics. I think I've seen a little during the Olympics, but especially during the Paralympics, I've seen a bunch of those commercials and like Peacock. So I've been trying to promote them. But Amazon now has submitted a bid, and they're just going to spend more than $4 billion to expand its rural delivery network. And if you live in small towns in the country, and like people that live in the countryside, like on 5 acres, and people that live on like 5 acres and like say half-mile long driveway to their house, like those type of houses, you also see like country and like or countryside, like you see like middle of nowhere, small town. You might be driving in like through South Dakota, saying like the middle of nowhere. You think that's just on a highway, but if it wasn't on a highway, it'd be like an obscure little area. It'd be like, like that's kind of what that, so. So they might try to raise funds for that. And then if they raise funds, USPS will not do that no more. They might have, permanent rights to do this for like life, either like life or for so many years, And it says the U.S. Postal Service could money as soon as October. It says required retirement and other payments to the government. It says house oversight. You need higher stamp prices and the ability to borrow more money. So they're either paying like they pay payment. They're like not a government agency, but they affiliate with the government because they're borrowing money from the government. They basically take out loans from the government. And it says service default, and it says, and the Postal Service has defaulted on some payments. They have, it says they have defaulted on like loan payments and like trying to go to like bankruptcy on those payments. And since they have, they've been paying, there have been money last year if they pay them, and then if they either be allowed to pay less money on those payments or not pay them at all, basically, like pay them, stretch out a wee. And it says they're trying to do what they're trying to do there's options that they could do. They also want to it's end 6 day week deliveries. They were talking about that for like a while ago, and like 6 day week deliveries, like Saturday deliveries. I thought like they were doing that, and they voted not to do that, I think, or they decided not to do that. And then they ended up choosing to do that either by vote or something, probably by vote or whatever. They chose to decide to keep continue running 60 week Saturday deliveries. And then with Amazon packages and stuff now, they run 7 days a week, but it's mainly only for like Amazon packages and Priority Mail Express. And then maybe during like busy times of year, you might see like all packages, whether even if they're not from Amazon, or you might see packages from family and friends, packages or packages that people send out through eBay or Mercari, other online selling platform, other online sites, selling sites, like people selling from their big companies selling from their websites, or smaller companies like or Shopify or whatever. And then they hired the help planning for Alvarez and Marshall, which a playing big huge song from. They're gonna see what the best option is to be able to keep them afloat. Because if they can't keep them afloat, because if they can't stay afloat, it's gonna be tough, So, because I know if they end 6 day week deliveries, that they'll save tons of money, because they do have backup workers that they hire, like to that work, like if say whatever day one person might be off on say Mondays, one day person might be off on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, Fridays, Saturdays, So they have people that work full time, but they'll be fill-ins on 5 different routes. Like, there have to be 5 different routes. You might have to do a post office, say here, and there might be 5 post workers that do routes, in your local town. And then there might be you might have to fill in each route a day a week, in order to get full time hours, full time money, full time hours and full time benefits. And then let's see. So this is like really really weird. And it says post office USPS routers before December that they said they would run out of money in early 2027. As early as early 2027 in January, but now they're expected to be out of money in October now. It's as they have reported net losses of $118 billion since 2007 as first class mail, which is now Ground Advantage, Ground Advantage packages, and first class mail like bill, like stamps, like buying stamps and all that stuff. Like they have like flats that you can ship to, like stamps, like flats with like stamps, like flats, like flats and other things like that. You can ship them like without tracking on them, for like a cheaper price than you would like first class with tracking. So yeah, I'm doing that. So yeah, they're doing that. And then Steiner said he wants to, if he closed deliveries, if he closed post offices on Saturdays, every post office that was closed, they either had the post office open on Saturdays for package drop off and stuff, package drop off, package pickup, Or maybe if they reduce packet, or if they close the post office entirely on Saturdays, they would save $3 billion a year. It says, but if they closed small town post offices, it would save, and you had to drive like an extra, say, like, because in my area where I live, there's like a few small post offices. There's one like a few miles past my local post office. There's like five, probably I would say like maybe 5 miles away. There's like another small town post office, you know, or and there might be one. There's one another way, like maybe there's a couple, like, like a few of them in smaller areas. But if you had to drive to like bigger cities to deliver your mail, it would not be profitable. It would not be profitable, or the American public would not like the idea because they might boycott the USPS. And if the average everyday person boycotts the postal service, doesn't use the postal service, doesn't work in an area where there's a postal service on their way to work, or on their way to work, you know, or they're traveling somewhere, that has a postal service, they don't do that very often. They weren't like that in Congress. We're not like that. Congressional leaders were not like that at all. No one would, because in Congress, because that would be like you're discrediting the American people, like what the postal service is really intended for. You're discrediting. You're making that like palatable. Like it's like souring the American people. You know. You know what I mean? Kind of from the idea. That I mean. So. Hmm. So yeah, and then they're going to Pete Sessions, House of Representatives Pete Sessions. He would work with the post office to address concerns, but he says stamp prices. He does not like the fact that stamp prices increasing to a dollar, like if they had to be, because stamp prices. He said like they've been raised like a ton lately in like the last few years, like just probably like 4 or 5 years ago. I think stamps were like 50 cents. Now they're like 76 or 78 cents a stamp. And then set reforms room, and then Kweze Mufam, a representative on the subcommittee for the postal subcommittee. He cannot let the post service die, so he's going to have to see if they can, what they're gonna do. What's the best, find some method where the postal service can shave some money, either shave some money off by keeping the price the same by either closing post offices or reducing delivery to 5 days a week, and that might be like the extreme measures. Maybe some other measures might be like keeping it, if they keep it open 5 days a week, 6 day week delivery service, like 7 day deliveries for post ready, like not. I don't think they mean like Saturday Sunday delivery might be still for Priority Express, you know, but they'd be like, but right, most mail, like your letters, like your regular mail, would be like 5 days a week, and your packages that are not Priority Mail Express would still be 5 days a week. So